Nari McDiarmid with you, and I'd like to welcome Tim Dobson, Managing Director with Magnetite Mines. And Tim, you'll be presenting at Mining News Select Sydney. What opportunity does Magnetite Mines present to investors?
Yeah, hi Nari. Thanks for the opportunity to have this chat today. So Magnetite Mines is a South Australian focused resource company. We've got a substantial tenement position in South Australia. And within that tenement position, we've got substantial iron ore resources focused on magnetite, hence the name of the company. So over 6.6 billion tonnes of mineral resources. And within that, 2 billion tonnes of JORC compliant ore reserves in iron ore. But we've also have prospectivity for a number of other elements as well. So within our over 2,000 square kilometres of tenements, we have prospectivity for other commodities that are actually quite buoyant in the markets at the moment. Things like rare earth elements, copper, and precious metals such as gold and silver. So quite a diversified set of exploration targets there. But our key focus is our Razorback project, which is set to produce a very, very high premium grade of magnetite concentrates for the future steel industry.
Well, you mentioned a moment ago the 6.6 billion tonne resource that you have there. Can you elaborate on the features of Razorback for us?
Sure. So the 6.6 billion tonnes is actually across three different projects within our tenement bases, of which the Razorback project is one. We've also got Ironback Hill project and the Mustard Dam project. Razorback itself has a 2 billion tonne ore reserve within its 3.5 billion tonnes of mineral resources that comprise the Razorback project. It's a very substantial long life project. It'll be one of our directors likes to call it a monster project, given the scale of it. It will support mining and production at scale for somewhere between 50 and 100 years to give you a sense of the scale of this project. It will produce a iron a magnetite concentrate with an iron grade of over 68% iron, which is almost pure magnetite, and that's exactly what's needed for direct reduction style of processing in the future steel industry that's decarbonising. So we expect this commodity to become more in demand in the future, and we're carefully focusing the development timing of the project to match that emerging demand. We want to be a first mover, but we want to make sure that that when we bring this supply online, that the demand is also there to take it on, and so that the project's economic as we go forward. The project will be starting up at 5 million tonnes per annum, which is a lot, but the project will also be able to host much larger scales of operations. So we've got an expansion stage also planned to go up to 10 million tonnes per annum after that. Last year, we applied for a mining lease, which is a substantial body of work, which took 4 years to put together a mining lease proposal of such a large operation. And that's currently being assessed by the South Australian Department of Energy and Mining. And we also have been obviously watching carefully and working closely with the state and federal governments as they've created policies and funding packages towards the development of a future green iron industry here in Australia. Our material is the raw material to feed into a green iron industry. We've been working closely with the South Australian and federal governments along their green metal strategies. And in fact, along that line, we formed a consortium called Green Iron SA back in October 2024 with some very large logistics partners. That consortium has been set up to help establish an export base in Port Pirie for both our concentrates, but also for future potential pellets made from our product, and then future DRI or green iron made from those pellets. So pretty exciting strategic future ahead. We're working very closely with the Port Pirie Council as well as the state government to advance this strategy of industrialisation for the Upper Spencer Gulf.
And you also mentioned before, Tim, the other commodities that you have potential for within your large land holding. I know you caught the market's attention with some rare earths news last year. So, what's your focus in the near term?
So, as I mentioned, we've been obviously observing the metals markets, and there's been a lot of buoyancy in a number of key metals and critical minerals in particular, and more recently, precious metals such as gold and silver. The rare earth piece, clearly there's been an explosion of interest globally in rare earths as supply chains are reconfiguring around the world. And even as recently as last week, we've seen very high level meetings between the United States and resources ministers from around the world to try to secure new supply chains, which include critical minerals, including rare earths. So our geologists were having a think about the rare earth potential on our tenements and identified that in some of our old iron ore drill holes, which were targeted at iron ore at Ironback Hill, they had gone through some clay profiles and thought that the geology there may be able to host rare earths. So we re-assayed some of those old drill cores from around 2012 for rare earths, and in fact got some great hits last year. And that's where we announced that to the market in August, and we did some further work and had a follow-up announcement in November confirming the presence of rare earths in these very shallow clays lenses. But it's only in old iron ore drill holes, as I said. So what we're doing now is going to target further downstream. These clays are sitting in creek bed systems. We're just about to mobilise an air core rig out there. We're just getting our final approvals to get that done, and we'll get that drilling started in the next week or two. So that's pretty exciting for us because we think we're onto something. We've also applied for and had granted a new tenement just to the south of Ironback Hill and downstream where these creek systems are running, so that we can continue to chase where this geology might go and see how big it can get. So that's all work to come in the very near future.
Well, if we look at the longer term for a moment, Tim, what will success look like for Magnetite Mines?
Okay, so our primary focus is this long-term but very large-scale Razorback project. And as I said, we're trying to time that into the market. So we've been seeking the right strategic partners to help secure funding for a DFS for this project for some time, and that's a core priority that I have. But also, as I said, trying to take advantage of these current buoyant markets for other commodities. So we are spending some of our money on high impact but low cost exploration programs, not only for the rare earths, but we're targeting gold, and we've just applied for a very prospective gold tenement, about 100 Ks for Razorback. We're waiting to have that approved by the department. And also copper and potentially even silver up at Mutooroo Ridge, which is another tenement that we have near Mustard Dam, which was historically drilled for copper. We're having some of those old drill holes re-assayed so that we can understand what the mineralisation potential is there. So these are some of the announcements that we can expect to see in the market in the near future. So success for us will look like both developing our long-term Razorback project, but at the same time taking full advantage of the current markets for these other metals as we develop these exploration programs.
You've certainly got a lot going on. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak today.
That's a pleasure, Nari. Thank you.